Hey guys, I hope you are doing good. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the series sum program that we just have explained the algorithm and the working procedure. Now here we are going to run the program. So here we have first method, that is the sum method, that is taking a number as input, and it would return us the sum of the n natural numbers from 1 to that number, starting from 1 to that number. Okay, so for that I have taken one variable s, that is an integer type variable that would be initialized with 0, because for calculating sum we have to initialize that with 0. Then I am running a for loop that is starting from 1 up to that number, and the loop variable is incrementing by 1, so I have written I plus plus. Now inside the body of the loop I have written s equals to s plus I, because I want the sum of all the natural numbers starting from 1 to n. So I am adding that I in that variable. Cumulatively I am calculating the sum, and then after calculating the sum outside the loop I have written s. So this method is responsible for finding the sum of n natural numbers, first n natural numbers. Then the next method I have written for finding out the factorial of an input number. Suppose n is the input number, this method would be able to return the factorial of that number. Factorial means the product of the natural number starting from 1 up to that number. If n is the number, then factorial of n means 1 into 2 into 3 into dot 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 up to n. Since factorial is a product, so the variable in which the factorial would be stored, that would be initialized with 1, because if we initialize that with 0, 0 into something gives us 0, so that would not be desired, so we have to store 1 in if. Now the loop part is responsible for generating the natural numbers starting from 1 up to that number. Same here also, the number I, the variable I is incrementing by 1, so we are writing I plus plus. Now inside the body of loop, instead of making sum, here we have to make the product, so we have written f equals to f into I. So whatever I, those numbers are generated from 1 to up to that n, the natural numbers are multiplied cumulatively in the variable f, and outside the loop I am returning the factorial variable f. So this method is responsible for returning the factorial of the number n. So if we input a number n, we are receiving the factorial of n from this method. Then in the main method, what we are doing, we are generating that sum. So I have taken console input, so for that I need a scanner class object, so that's why I have written import java.util.scanner to import the scanner class from the util package. Now I have taken one variable s that would store the sum of the series, and to take the input, the a number of terms, the n, so that is the n. So I have given a message to the user to enter a number, and then I have taken that input using the next in method provided in the scanner class. Okay, so now then I am calculating the sum of the series, the sum of the terms of the series. So this is one term, this line, this is the first, this is a term basically. So for generating the terms, so if you remember in the last video we discussed that the pattern is in such a way that the terms are starting in such a way that the last term what we have, that was up to the sum of the natural numbers up to n in the numerator and the product of the natural numbers in the denominator. So the first term had 1 into 2 and 1 plus 2. So that is, if the I value is 1, then we are running that sum of the natural numbers and the factorial up to I plus 1 means up to 2. So that's why I have started the loop from 1, and then I'm ending with n minus 1. So the last term would be n minus 1th term, and for that I plus 1 would be n. So the last term would be obtained as product of the digits, from product of the numbers from 1 to n, and the sum of the digit numbers from 1 to n in the numerator. So that is how we are going to obtain it. So instead of from 1 to n, we are running the loop from 1 to n minus 1. This is one small important point that I wanted to highlight. And in the body of the loop I am calculating the sum, the series sum. So s is the variable where I am going to add, so s equals to s plus. I am cumulatively adding all the terms successively in the for loop, and this is the term that we are seeing in the screen. So in the question we saw that the numerator was the sum of the natural number, so I have done method call. I am passing I plus 1 in the parameter of sum function. The sum function takes an integer input. So I plus 1 would be sent to sum, and sum method would return us the sum of the natural numbers from 1 to I plus 1. Since sum method is returning us an integer, we have to convert that to double. So for that I have used explicit typecasting. Now what is typecasting and why we are doing that, I have explained that in the previous video in the part 1. You can go and watch that in the playlist, or you can check that out in the playlist that comes just beside of this video. So I have to typecast that, and slash I have done the factorial. I have called the method factorial that also receives input as an integer as an input, and it calculates the factorial of that number and returns. So I also have done the factorial method call for I plus 1. So I plus 1 natural number sum divided by the factorial of I plus 1. So this is the term that we are going to get. Now our series is basically the sum of all the terms starting from 1 to n minus 1. So that is why I have written this line, and then after the for loop I have printed the sum, whatever sum value I have obtained, that I am printing that. That was the overall understanding of how this program is written, and let us run the code and check the output. Now suppose I am giving 3 as an input. So n is 3 means there would be two terms in this series. So first term is 1 plus 2 divided by 1 into 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 1 into 2 into 3, because there are going to n minus 1 terms. So this will give us 2.5. Okay, so let's check the output. The output is 2.5. So we are getting the correct answer. So that was the overall working of the program and how you are executing that and taking the console input. Hope you have understood that. If you have any queries, let me know that in the comment section. I would be happy to answer that. Like and subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Meet you next in the coming video.